With this video, I'm going to show you how to set up, name, and structure your Facebook ads, campaigns, ad sets, and ads so you can 1, stay fully organized, and 2, get the right kind of data back so that you can analyze it correctly. What I mean by right kind of data is clean data, non-mixed data, and I promise that's going to make more sense throughout the video. Welcome to another Facebook ads video. I'm Alex Sko. This is the Sko Show where we talk about how to sell crap online. Today, specifically talking about how to sell crap with Facebook ads. I read through all your comments and I respond to all of your comments. And so I want to start taking good questions that I know a lot of other people have and that I can expand on and like really provide value on. And I want to take a second in these videos to just address those comments. Now, this question is more talking about at the beginning of your Facebook advertising, like when you're trying to find targeting, when you're running tests and trying to see what works, trying to see if you can get something to work. That's kind of the point we're at with this question. And so she's wanting to know, as you're testing different audiences, different targeting, do you change the ad as well, the ad creative, the picture, the video, the text, or do you just change the audiences? And I'm going to dive into this more thoroughly later on in the video, but my answer to that, especially at the beginning when you're just testing, is to not worry too much about the ad creative, changing the ad creative, testing the ad creative, but focusing on your targeting and changing your targeting. And as long as your ad's decent enough, just keep, use the same ad and just keep focusing on targeting until you find targeting that works. And then once you find targeting that works, then you can start to test a bunch of different ad creative, because if you're testing different ad creative against audiences that are bad audiences, like targeting that it doesn't work, then it doesn't matter what your ad creative is, it's never going to work. But if you test your ad creative against audiences that you already know are working, then you're clearly going to be able to see which ad creative performs better over the other. Anyways, I'll dive more into that later in the video. One more comment that I wanted to answer real fast was this one right here by Shannon Farley. She says, awesome stuff, totally helpful. Quick question, when you go to finalize your targeting, do you add all the brands, websites, and media outlets under one ad set, or do you set up different ad sets for each different brand name, etc.? You absolutely separate those out into different individual ad sets. And again, going more in depth later on in the video on this, but if you lump them all into the same ad set, and say you get a conversion or whatever result you're going for, you don't know actually through which interest that success came from. But if you separate all of them out individually, then you will know exactly where each result, each conversion, whatever it is coming from. Again, going to show you exactly how to do that and talk to you more about why, but that's my answer to that question, is definitely separate everything that you can out, because you'll get back cleaner data that you can analyze more efficiently, and you'll just be able to see much more clearly, even 100% clearly, exactly where your success and failure is coming from. All right, now let's set up some Facebook ads. If you don't already have a Facebook Business Manager set up, I recommend that you do set up a Facebook Business Manager. If you don't know what that is or don't know how to set one up, I've got videos on that. Check out those videos. They'll be really helpful for that. Either way, whether you have one or don't have one, navigate to your Ads Manager, and from inside of your Ads Manager is where we're going to set up your campaigns, ad sets, and ads. And that's how it's laid out within Facebook ads. That's how you're going to set things up. That's how things are structured. There's a campaign level. That's the first thing you're going to decide on, is what kind of campaign. Within your campaign, you have ad sets, and your ad sets are where you're going to do your targeting, where you're going to put your ad, who you're going to send your ad to. And then within your ad sets are ads, and your ads are your creative, your photos, your images, your videos, your copy, your text, your headlines, your titles. That's going to be your ad. All that creative is going to be inside of your ad. So there's campaigns, ad sets inside of your campaigns, and ads inside of your ad sets. So this is inside of an Ads Manager, and this green button right here, Create, is how you're going to start setting up your Facebook ads. It's going to bring you to this page, and this is the page you're going to use to select which kind of campaign you're going to run. If you look over here in the left column, it shows us all the steps it's going to start taking us through. Campaign level, ad set level, ad level. In the campaign level, first we've got to select special ad category and objective. And then in the ad set level, we'll have audience, placements, budget, and schedule. And then in the ad level, format, media, and additional creative. So first things first here, what's your marketing objective. It wants us to select which type of campaign we're going to run. And these are all the different options here. So you've got brand awareness, reach, traffic, engagement, conversions, etc. So for this video, the campaign that I'm going to set up is a conversions campaign. I'm going to assume that we're selling something on our website, and that's what we want to use Facebook ads for, is to drive people to our website and get them to buy the product, which is a conversion. So by selecting a conversion campaign, we're already starting to tell Facebook that, hey, our goal is going to be a conversion. We haven't specified what kind of conversion quite yet, but we're going to, and we're going to tell it that, we want it to optimize and perform its best, like do its best work to get us more conversions, more product sales through our website. And also by selecting a conversions campaign, we'll be able to track through which ads sales are coming from. And that's important because you need to know if your ads are successful or not, if the money you're putting into an ad is making you more money or if it's losing you money. So that's why it's important to be able to track when someone clicked on this ad, did they buy? When someone clicked on this ad, did they buy? How did those perform, compared to each other? And that's how you're going to be able to figure out which ads work and which ads don't. All right, so now I'm going to scroll down, and what it wants us to do here is it's giving us all these options. So campaign name, I'll come back to that in a second and talk to you about how I name campaigns. Create split test. Again, hover over the eye here and read and get to know all the features. There's tons of features in Facebook. The easiest way is really just to take the time to read it and understand it. So it says test ad sets against each other in order to understand which strategies give you the best result. Your potential reach will be divided among your ad sets for accurate split test results. So I don't know, I typically kind of prefer to just manually set up my split tests and see how they perform against each other. You can use this, which kind of will do it more automatically for you. So anyways, if you want to mess with that feature, you can. Campaign budget optimization. Almost never do I set campaign budget. So I actually turn off campaign budget optimization, and I don't set a budget at the campaign level. I like to set my budgets at the ad set level. And the reason that I do that is because inside of my campaign, I'm going to create a bunch of different ad sets, and I want to see how each of those ad sets perform individually, because each one of them is going to have different targeting inside of them, because my first goal is to find the right audiences, find targeting that convert and actually buy my product. So I want to be able to set budgets at the ad set level instead of the campaign level, so I can see at the ad set level what's working and what's not working. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue now, and that's going to take us to the ad set level. Oh wait, I got to go back because I got to explain how I name campaigns, because I didn't name the campaign. Alright, so how do I name my campaigns? Like I said, we're assuming that I'm selling a product on my website. So what I'll do is I'll put the product's name here. Let's just say it's iPhone case, just for the example, right? So I'll go iPhone case, and I'll put conversions there so I know that it's a conversions campaign, and then I'll give it the number 1 because it's my first conversions campaign. So by setting it up this way, I know exactly which product it is that I'm advertising. I know which kind of campaign I've set up for it, and I know that it's the first one I've set up. So if I want to go create a lead gen campaign, I would do this. And then I would know that it's that same product, it's a lead gen campaign, and it's the first lead gen campaign that I've set up for that product. If I set up another conversions campaign, then that second campaign that I set up, I would name like this, iPhone case conversions 2. If I'm doing a different product, let's say it's a iPhone screen cover, I would go iPhone screen cover conversions 1. So I'm going to give it its name and move on now. Go iPhone cover conversions 1. I'm going to click continue, and now we're at the ad set level. Okay, the first thing that I do at the ad set level is I come up here to ad set name, highlight, and delete. And the reason that I do that is because I'm going to now go through, and I don't always know exactly all of the targeting that I'm going to select at the ad set level, and it's here in the ad set level that we're going to select all of the different kinds of targeting that we're going to do. So I go through and set everything up, and then I know how I've set everything up, and then I go back and I name the ad set according to how I've set everything up. So the first thing here in this case is conversion, and you can either select website, app, messenger, or WhatsApp, and that's depending on where you're sending them to. In this case, we're sending them to a website where we're selling our product, so we've got website selected. And now it wants me to set up a conversion event. If I click that, says submit application, contact, search, complete registration, add payment info. There's purchase right there. So purchase is the one that we're going to want to select right here and optimize for. We want that to be the conversion event. We want Facebook to know that that's our goal and Facebook to work on reaching that goal and in more efficient ways. In other words, getting us more purchases. And I see a lot of people get confused here, and there's definitely a time and place and reason to set, add payment infos or checkouts initiated, initiate checkouts. Like, there is a time and a place to use those as your conversion event. But the point I want to make here is that if your goal is to make more sales, purchases is the main data point that you need to be paying attention to. And that's what you want to tell Facebook to optimize towards and work on, is getting you more purchases, more sales. So optimizing for purchases is what we're going to want to do. I'm not going to go into this fully in depth. I have another video on it. Check out that video on how to set up your Facebook pixel and integrate it into your website. But what it's asking me to do right here is verify my pixel. I haven't finished setting this one up. I currently have selected kind of like a dummy or backup ad account. But once you do have your pixel set up and everything properly, it'll show as either, this won't be red, it'll show as either green or yellow. All right, let's scroll down. Dynamic creative. Again, you can poke around with that if you want. Offer, you can poke around with that if you want. I'm not going to dive into those right now. And I forgot to explain quickly what the pixel is and does. You just basically copy and paste it onto your website, and then that allows Facebook to track everybody that comes to your website through your ad and what they're doing on your website. That's how they know if people initiated a checkout, if people added to cart, what pages they visited, all that. It's because of your Facebook pixel. So you have to have that set up in order to track anything. So if you want to track purchases, you got to set up the Facebook pixel. All right, let's scroll down here and let's come down to audience. This is where you will begin your targeting. If you have custom audiences or lookalike audiences already set up that you want to select, that's where you would do that right here. Click in that box, and then you can select your different lookalike or custom audiences. I'm not going to break those down for you in this video, but again, I have videos on that, so make sure and go check out my videos on how to create custom and lookalike audiences. They're super powerful, and honestly, that's what you want to get to with Facebook advertising, is having and growing and scaling using lookalike audiences. All right, right here is where you'll select locations. I like to click the show more options and get the full thing here. So right here's where you'll select locations. You can select, man, you can do a lot here. So right now United States is selected. You can select the whole world. If you go right there, worldwide, if you wanted to select the whole world. You can go down to specific cities. So Chicago, and then you can even set a radius if you wanted to also expand the radius to, say, 36 miles outside of Chicago. So you can mess around with stuff there. Age, pretty straightforward. Just a couple drop-down menus to select the age range you want. Genders, also pretty straightforward. You can select all, or you can select man or woman. And then detailed targeting. This is where it's not quite as straightforward, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because this is where things start to get really cool inside of Facebook advertising. So first things first, where this is checked, expand your detailed targeting to reach more people when it's likely to improve your performance. Click that off. That is Facebook just trying to suck money from you. So make sure and have that off. You don't need that on. And here in the targeting section is where you can do things like target people who like a certain Facebook page. So if you wanted to target people that like the Apple Facebook page, I can come down here, Apple. The audience size you can see right here is 96 million, so I can click that, and so right now I'm targeting everybody within 36 miles of Chicago, Illinois, within Chicago, Illinois, and that's a potential reach of 670,000 people. And then another really cool thing you can do right here is you can narrow. So right now we have the Apple audience selected, but we can narrow that audience even more and narrow it through. So like I saw when we were typing an Apple up there, it brings up Apple and the certain type of iPhone, and it's a behaviors if we look over here. So if we come back up here, this was an interest, right? When we typed it in, we had to scroll down, and then if we look at right here on the right, it's an interest. But down here, let's narrow through the behavior. And so let's say, just for example here, that the iPhone cover that we're selling is for the iPhone 7 Plus. So we could come here and target people that own the iPhone 7 Plus. So when I select that, we're first saying, hey, Facebook, target all the people within a 36-mile radius of Chicago, Illinois that like Apple, but they also must own an iPhone 7. And that brought our audience down to 20,000 people. And so that's how that works. So languages right here, if, pretty straightforward, but if I select the ad that I'm running the language in, which is always English. So I always select English right there, just so my ad doesn't end up getting shown to people that may not understand English, because that would just be a waste. Connections right here, like it says, reach people who have a specific kind of connection to your page, app, or event. So if you click that, you could also use this here if you have any people on any of those. All right, placements. You can choose automatic placements. That will just let Facebook decide where they show your ad. I don't really recommend that. They do, because that's how they'll make more money off of you. I always click edit placements, and I manually choose the places to show my ads. These are all the different options of places where you can choose to tell Facebook to show your ads. So first, you've got devices. You can edit there, and you can select just mobile or just desktop platforms. You've got Facebook, Audience Network, Instagram, Messenger, and then you have your placement section right here where you've got feeds, stories, in-stream, search, messages, in-article, apps, and sites. I'm going to just break down how I do this right here. If I know for sure that it's better mobile or desktop, then I'll click one of those on or off. But if I'm not sure, then I just leave that as all devices. As far as where I place ads, and where most likely you're going to want to be placing ads, again, every single feature and placement, etc., has a place, a time and place, a use. But again, for the example, just strictly of selling product on our website, it's most likely that you're going to find success in your Facebook ads through Facebook news feed, Instagram feed, Facebook stories, and or Instagram stories. That's not to say you can't have success in any of the other ones. That's just where most people are browsing. That's where it's going to be the easiest for them to come across your ad and consume it and click and buy your product. So those are probably going to be the 4 places you want to at least start your testing. And you may even want to not test all of those from the beginning all at once, right? You may, maybe you have a more limited budget and need to select just 1 or 2 of those to test. And now what I'm about to say goes back to the question in the comment from Shannon at the beginning of this video of, do you lump everything in together? And that same question applies to placements, and the answer is no, because you want to just select one placement at a time, run ads to that placement, and see if it works. So say you lump Facebook news feed, Instagram feed, Facebook stories, and Instagram stories all into the same ad set, you're not necessarily going to know exactly, if your ad's successful in some way, you're not going to know exactly if that's because it was placed in the Instagram news feed or the Facebook news feed. Facebook does give you a little bit of that data after the fact, but you're doing yourself a big favor if you just test those out individually. It does create a little bit more work for you because you do have to separate them out and do a little bit more clicking to do that, but it's totally worth it because when the data comes back, it's so much more easy to look at it and clearly see, okay, Instagram feed's working, Instagram stories not working, Facebook feed's working, Facebook stories not working, or however it just turns out. But I definitely highly recommend separating these out. So let's just say that for our first ad set test here, we are going to just test the Facebook news feed. So if I click this top one right here, it clicks off, or the top one of each section here. To click all these off, it makes you have one selected. So let's come back up here, click Facebook news feed. Now I can turn this off down here. So now I have, and you'll see it also updated this platform section right here. So I have only the Facebook news feed selected right now. where are we at now? Show more options, anything in here. So this can definitely be good if you know one way or the other. So if you know, like if you need to just, so like if I'm selling iPhone cases, it may not make a lot of sense for me to target Android. So I might want to just select iOS devices only. This would be for this product, that would be probably a smart thing to do. And then I could include iPads and iPods, but I'd probably even just want to go just iPhones. And then you can even exclude devices if you want to as well. So just more targeting options for you there. If you don't really know, like if you like in this case, it's pretty easy to go, okay, I'm selling iPhone covers, probably just target people with iPhones and iOS software, that sort of thing. But if you don't have a product where you can clearly know that just up front, then I wouldn't really recommend messing too much with like what operating system or mobile device. Like just probably don't worry about that at that point. All right, budget and schedule. We've already chosen to optimize our ad delivery for conversions, so we're going to leave that like that. Cost control, this is optional. I do not recommend setting a cost control until you've done quite a bit of advertising, you've had quite a few successful conversions, and you have a pretty good idea of what your cost per result, cost per conversion is. But when you're just starting to test from the beginning, don't put anything here. Leave that completely open. And then budget and schedule, right now it's automatically set to daily budget. You can also choose lifetime budget. I like to do daily budgets. And then you can also come down here and select run my ad set continuously starting today, or set a start and end date. I like to, for the most part, just let my ad set run continually, and then I keep an eye on it, and if I need to turn it off, then I turn it off. Start and end date, there's again a time and a place for that. You may have a reason for using that. If you don't have a specific reason for running a start and end date, then probably just run ad sets continuously. All right, let's talk real quickly about the daily budget. This is one place where people get tripped up a lot. And I'm just going to give you a real life example that happened literally just yesterday and today. So I went and helped my buddy Trevin, you've seen him on my channel before, set up some Facebook ads for a product that he's selling. And what I explained to him is that what a lot of people will do is, especially people with a low budget, is try and send their ads out with a daily budget of $5 or $10. But here's the issue with that. If you're selling a product that's like $40 or $50, and let's say your profit margin's 50% on that, so you've got like $25 of just straight profit you can play with. And you're saying, hey, and if you're doing a $5 daily budget, you're saying to Facebook, hey Facebook, make me a $50 sale with $5. Thank you very much. It's like you're not giving Facebook enough to play with. So what I told Trevin yesterday is, and this is his product that he's selling is about, it's ranging from like I think $35 to $50 roughly, kind of more in the $40-$50 range. So there's room there. So I was like, look, you don't want to set a $5 budget because you're just not giving Facebook enough to play with, like to figure out, to actually put it in front of people, get some data back, do that again, and figure out what the right people to put it in front of is. And especially when you have some profit margin to play with, you can spend $15 as your daily ad budget, make the sale, and still come out profitable. But if you only gave Facebook $5 to play with in the first place, it's just, I hope you understand what I'm saying here. So what I did yesterday with Trevin is I said, let's make sure and give each of these ad sets a daily budget that's plenty of room for Facebook to play with. Like, it's a bit more scary for sure, because if conversions don't happen, you wasted more money than if you had just given it a $5 budget. But if you're just giving it the $5 budget, you might not be giving it enough to actually go find a conversion for you. And Trevin texted me this morning, got 2 sales at break even. Now, I'm not saying break even is the goal, it's not the goal, but I will quickly insert right here. There's a whole legitimate strategy behind not even just break even, but losing money to buy data, because what happens is the more conversions you get, the smarter Facebook gets, and then you can eventually build lookalike audiences. Like I mentioned at the beginning of that video, lookalike audiences really where you start to get the most power out of Facebook for finding you customers and conversions. Anyways, I'm not trying to go too deep into that strategy, but Trevin texted me, said he got a couple sales, and it was about an $18 result, which ends up in his numbers as about break even. And a couple things here, like, that's a perfect start. So many people, like, and I've seen this, like, people will get 1 or 2 sales and be like, oh, I didn't make $100. It's like, no, you you have to be more patient. You have to build and grow and scale and like acquire more data. That's one of the main things, and that just doesn't happen through 1 or 2 sales. So and we were starting yesterday from straight zero, like no idea, targeting, nothing. So that's a very good sign, you guys. If you're starting from nothing, you're just testing targeting for the very first time, and you get 1 or 2 sales, even if it's not completely profitable or not as profitable as you want, that's the perfect start. The fact that you found targeting and got some sales, you're on to something. But back to my point about the daily budget is just that if we had only given his ad sets $5, $10, those ad sets would have never found a conversion, and we never would have known if that targeting works. But because we gave it a $40 daily budget, it had enough room to spend enough money to find a conversion. And you may or may not already know this, but when you set up a conversion ad for the first time, it goes through a learning phase. And then once it's learned enough, then Facebook gets smarter and can start to do better work for you. So you really just have to make sure, and like I said, it's a little bit scary, especially if you have a small budget, because you're putting your money on the line. But that's Facebook ads, man. That's what it is. And you need to definitely make sure that you're giving your ad sets enough daily budget. So in this case, let's say that my iPhone covers cost $19.95. So a $20 daily budget would work great. So I'm actually just going to leave that right there. All right, now that I've got all my ad set targeting selected, I can go back to the top and name my ad set. So we've got Chicago, Illinois. So we've got Chicago plus 36. Now you definitely will want to come up with kind of your, so I've definitely come up with my own way of abbreviating things and short coding things to just make more compact ad set names, but that tell me everything I need to know. You may find a better way. You may not like how I'm abbreviating or whatever, but this is just an example. Figure out what works best for you. So there's the location, 18 to 65. So if I leave it 18 to 65 or set on all, I don't include that in my ad set name. So let's actually do this. Let's actually say I'm targeting 20 to 25 year olds. Let's say 20 to 45 year old men. So in this case, I would now come up here and go 20 to 45 men, comma. And then I'd put my targeting here, which is Apple, narrowed by the behavior of owns iPhone 7 Plus. So I would go Apple 2. And the TO is just my way of saying that I narrowed it through something. And then I'll put iPhone, what was it, 7 Plus? iPhone 7 Plus behavior. I might abbreviate that or might not. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, and then it's Facebook feed. So I want to know which placement, and I believe I've got everything in there that I need now. Oh, and this I also did iOS only, so I want to add that as well. And then I may or may not add what the daily budget is into my title, just depending on if I'm really like testing like some certain things with the daily budget or not. But in this case, I'm not, in my mind, I'm not doing anything. It's just normal daily budget stuff, so I'm not including that in the name of the ad set. Okay, so I'm getting this right here. Remove detailed targeting options to avoid zero purchases. So basically what it's kind of trying to tell me that I've done is I've narrowed my audience too much, which might be the case. It's 3,700. Maybe that's a like really good narrowed audience for me, but the truth is that I have no reason for selecting Chicago, Illinois up here other than just showing you how to use the location stuff. So I'm actually going to click that off, and let's just say United States. And I didn't show you this before, but you can choose everyone in the location, people who live there, people who have recently visited there, or people who are traveling there. All right, so now we've got an audience size of 110,000, and if I scroll down now, it's going to let me, that error message is gone, and I'm going to click continue and move forward, and it's going to take us to the ad section. Now I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I wanted to touch on it again right now, and just say that at the beginning when you're testing, the most important thing you need to do is find audiences that convert, not find ad creative that converts. Obviously, you have to have decent enough ad creative for it to convert, but if you put all your focus on testing different ad creative videos, images, different copy, and you haven't found audiences that work yet, that convert, then you're gonna lose a lot of money. You're spending a lot of money on tests that just aren't smart tests to be running, and you're gonna waste a lot of money. So find the audiences first that convert, and you just have to have a decent enough ad for that. You don't have to come up with the craziest thing and don't have to test a bunch of pieces, just decent enough, like good enough. And use that as your ad to test your different audiences. And then once you find an audience that works, test all the ad creative you possibly can, and because you'll be able to clearly see if one works over the other, because it's being tested against an audience that is already converting. If you're running ads and you don't know anything about the audiences yet, you could just be, you could have the best ads in the world, but you're putting it in front of the wrong people, and so it just seems like nothing works, but it's just because you're testing creative against bad audiences. So find good audiences first that convert, and then testing ad creative becomes very simple. All right, so how do I name my ads? I pretty much just do the same thing as with my ad sets. Like I just try and include everything that I can about whichever ad I'm running. So let's just keep this simple, and let's just say I'm doing a single image of, I don't know if this makes any sense, but let's just say iPhone cover at the beach. So I'd go iPhone beach. I'd probably actually go single beach iPhone and then comma. So that's describing the imagery that I'm using, whether that's image, carousel, video, but I know it's a single image, and then I know which image I've chosen out of my images, which is the beach iPhone image. And then the next thing I want to do is describe the copy that I'm using, because those are the things that you're going to be able to change and tweak and test on a single image ad, is the image itself, and then the text, the headline, and the description that you give it. So I haven't written that yet, so I'm going to leave that blank and we'll come back to that. So like I said, we're just going to keep this simple and choose a single image, which is this option here. If you want to do a carousel, which is where you have the images you can slide over through, and then also there's a collection option right here. So right here is where you add media, so I'm going to open this up, add an image. Okay, so I just got that there. Primary text, I'll type primary text right there, and you'll see in the preview window over here on the right where it pops up. So right there above the ad. And then the headline, this is the headline. And you'll see that shows up right there. Destination, I've got website selected because that's what we're doing, is sending people to the website. What is the website URL? Let's just say it's www.iphonecovers.com. And then if you want to change, let's say it was like /shop page, right, is the actual URL we want to send them to. If you don't want it to display that URL like that, you can use this display link optional right here and just do www.iphonecovers.com. And then this is where you can change this button right here. So there's no button, shop now, sign up, all these different options. I like to use the learn more button a lot. It usually works pretty well. And then right down here in the tracking section, if you've already set up your pixel correctly and everything, you won't have this error message. It won't show red. Everything will look green and like it's good to go here. All right, so the last thing we need to do now is just finish the title of our ad name. And so what I'll do is just type here some sort of little description of the headline and the primary text that I used. That's going to be for you to come up with. In this case, I'm just going to say headline primary, and that way I know which headline and which primary text that I used. And now I can just come down here and click confirm. All right, so now that you've published the ad, if you go back into your ads manager, into the campaigns tab, you'll see that campaign is there. iPhone cover conversions 1. You'll see that the delivery, I deleted that one, but this is still going to work just fine for what I'm trying to show you. So if you click there, that brings you into the campaign, and you'll now see that ad set that we created. That Chicago 20 to 45 male, Apple to iPhone 7 Plus behavior, Facebook feed, iOS only. All right, so this is just one ad set here with its specific targeting. What we want to do, because we're trying to, remember, find audiences that convert, we need to send out a bunch more tests to different audiences to see if those audiences convert. So what do? Do we go create a new campaign and go through that whole thing again? No, we definitely don't want to do that. Again, you would go create a new campaign if you want to, if you have a reason for setting up another conversions campaign. If you're running a different campaign like lead gen or traffic or something like that, you'd go set up a different campaign for that. But in this case, we're going to stick just inside this exact same campaign. we're just going to create more ad sets inside of the campaign, and inside of those ad sets, we're going to change the targeting so that we can test different audiences and have a lot more chances of finding an audience that converts. And because we haven't found any audiences that convert yet, I'm not going to worry about testing a bunch of different ad creative. Again, I'm just assuming that we have come up with one piece of ad creative that's decent enough. And you can, of course, test like one, two, a few different ad creative if you want at the beginning. But again, definitely don't go too much at it. And I mean, I oftentimes just test one piece of ad creative to 12 to 20 different ad sets, meaning I'm sending the same piece of ad creative to 10 to 20 different targeting tests and seeing, which ones start to convert. And then when I find one that converts, then I start to send different ad creative to that audience and start to see which one of my ad creatives work better. But yeah, so in this case, we're not going to be worrying anymore about ad creative. We're just going to be focusing on targeting and creating ad sets with different targeting options inside of them. So a really easy way to do that is if you just click on the ad here and then click on duplicate. What this is going to do is exactly what it says. It's going to do a complete copy, a straight duplicate of the ad set that you just selected. So it's asking here if I want to duplicate it into the original campaign, another existing campaign, or a new campaign, or a new split test campaign. In this case, we just want to duplicate it into its original campaign. And then right here, you can also select the number of copies of each ad set. I'm just going to select one for now and show you what that looks like. So I'm going to click duplicate, and then now it opens me up into all the targeting options inside of the ad set. And so now what I want to do is change my targeting. So I'm going to come in here and change my interests. Click on edit. And so how we had it before, Apple narrowed through iPhone 7 Plus. I'm going to click those off, and I'm going to try and find a different audience to test. And let's try OtterBox, for example. OtterBox is a cell phone cover company, and they have an audience size of 3.4 million here on Facebook. So I'm going to select them. That gives me a potential reach of 440,000 people. Remember, we've got, nothing changed. The age is how we set it before, the gender. Again, I recommend really testing each thing out individually. So in this case, I want to only change OtterBox, and I'm going to come up here and change this to OtterBox, and I'm not going to do, and I'm also going to remove copy right here. Facebook automatically tags that onto the end of your ad set name when you duplicate it. I only leave that if I duplicate and don't touch a single thing inside of it. If I duplicate and make an adjustment, I delete that and just make sure I update the title to now it just says OtterBox, right? So if I also wanted to change the age, I personally wouldn't change the age on this. I would click publish, which I'll do right now. And then I would create another duplicate and go in and change the age if I want to test just a different age range. And so I'll just keep duplicating over and over and making adjustments to my interest and creating new ad sets that way. And I'll do that 10, 20, 50 times and send out all those different tests. And then when the data comes back, it'll very clearly tell me, okay, targeting this interest worked, this interest didn't. This interest worked, this interest didn't. And so I'll have my campaign, and inside my campaign, I'll have 10, 20, 50, maybe even more ad sets. And I could have the same ad creative for all of those ad sets. But once I find an audience that converts, then I'll start testing different ad creative against that audience. And here's how I would do that. So let's say this ad set that we set up right here is working. It's converting, so I'll duplicate it. And this time I'll duplicate it into a new campaign. And I'll name this new campaign iPhone Cover Conversions 2. I'll click duplicate. And now that sets up a new campaign for me with what I just titled it. And now I'm setting up the first ad set within that campaign. Now it'll bring you right here into the ad set section, but since this is the targeting that's been working, it's been converting for us, we don't want to touch any of the ad set section. Remember, we're just changing the ad creative and want to test that. So you wouldn't touch any of this. What you would do is come up here, because this is like a deleted ad set, it's not showing right now, but there'd be another arrow like this one right here. And then there'd be you'd see your ad name, whatever name you gave your ad. You'd be able to click that and it would take you into the ad creative section. And then there you can just easily swap out the photo. You can change the text, however you're switching up your ad creative. And then you just click publish. And then you'll have this new second campaign with your targeting at the ad set level that has already been converting for you, with a new ad creative that you're testing to that audience that already works. And to show you what this looks like when you've done quite a bit of it, this is a lead gen campaign that I did. So it's not conversion campaigns, it's lead gen, but you can see how I set it up. I got lead gen 1 website, running lead gen to the website, lead gen 1 Facebook form, that's just the lead form ads inside of Facebook itself. And then you'll see I did lead gen 2. So that was a conversions campaign there at that point. Lead gen 2, Facebook form, new media. So I mean, again, these might not make a lot of sense to you because they're my short code and abbreviations for things, but just showing you here how I do set everything up. And then if I click into one of these, so if I go right here, click into this one, you'll see how many ad sets that I've created, and it's a lot of them, right? It's a lot of different ad sets. And that's not me manually setting up each ad set. That's me going in, duplicating, making a little bit of an adjustment, and publishing. And you can see how I have these named. Again, it's not going to be exactly the same as the example I just gave you, but I do exactly what I just said. I put the specific things I want in there, comma, the next thing, comma, so that I know all the specific targeting that I used inside of this ad set. So I hope that was helpful with how to structure, name, and set up your Facebook ads, campaigns, ad sets, and ads. Don't forget to please drop a like, subscribe, and then enable notifications. And when you get notified, remember, if you go like and comment and you're one of the first ones, you've got a chance to win a coaching call with me.